My sister is getting married? I don't care. The younger sister's comment sparked laughter from both our parents. You're ugly and a failure, you know? Really? It's pitiful that someone like you would be anyone's wife. Feeling something cool inside me as the three of them laughed. I realized just how much they disregarded me. I never had any expectations, but to be treated with such disdain. Do they really not care about me at all? Well, fine. If that's how they feel, I won't hold back either. The time had come to right all the wrongs I had suffered from my family. Ready to leave everything behind, I started taking action. My name is Kelly Morris, and I'm 30 years old. I work for a big tech. I have one troubling issue, my family. I have a father, a mother, and a younger sister, and frankly, our relationship is not good. I'm the only one who is excluded in the family. This didn't just start recently. My parents adored my sister Mandy, not me. Despite her being my only sister, I couldn't help but despise her. Mandy was born when I was 2. I don't remember much from that time. But I do remember how happy my parents were when she was born. Naturally, that's a normal reaction for parents. But what I couldn't understand was their behavior afterward. After Mandy's birth, my parents completely ignored me. Yet, whenever Mandy called them, they'd rush to her side. Eventually, I became a nuisance to my parents. You're ugly compared to Mandy, our child, yet you have nothing good about you. And other hurtful words were hurled at me. I was young then and didn't fully understand, but as I grew older, I gained knowledge and began to understand what they meant. Desperate for their approval, I threw myself into my studies and sports. As a result, I advanced to national competitions with my badminton club and was accepted into a prestigious high school. I went straight into one of the nation's top universities, and after that, I was active in university clubs and got a job at a big tech. I've tried desperately hard, yet my parents have never once praised me. Contrary to me, my sister Mandy always liked to compare things. When I secured my job, she spoke mockingly. You think working at a good company is everything, don't you? It's not like that. I think various experiences are necessary. And that's why I was active in clubs during university. You don't get it for women, it's all about looks and style. You've never participated in a beauty pageant like I did at university, have you? Sure, you are cute. But that doesn't mean everything goes your way. I gave her a bit of a lecture. She then held her stomach and laughed, ha ha ha. You're really stupid. For women, as long as you're pretty, everything else will work out. What? That's not how it works. Don't you see it at home? I'm cute, so Mom and Dad love me so much. Why would you say that? Besides, both Mandy and I are their daughters. It's really funny how different we are as their daughters. Thanks to you, my self-esteem is through the roof. Thanks. Her words finally broke me. I had planned to commute from my parents' home after getting a job. But I couldn't stand being with my family any longer, and decided to move into the company dormitory. Since then, I haven't seen my family. If they contact me, I plan to respond. But there has been no apology from Mandy, and no messages from my parents. Normally, when their child gets a job and moves away, they would check in. How are you doing, or how's work? But even after 7 years, there's no contact from them. It's clear they are not interested in me. Despite everything, I'm currently engaged to a man. He is Steve Thompson, a senior colleague at my company. Steve was my mentor when I joined the company and supported me at work. Initially, we were just senior and junior colleagues, but 3 years ago, we started working on the same project and our relationship progressed. Our distance closed, and I began to see him not just as a senior colleague, but with romantic feelings. It seems he felt the same. One day, about 6 months after I started having feelings for him, Steve expressed his feelings for me. Ms. Morris is no, Kelly. The time I spend with you really makes me happy. So, would you go out with me? Mr. Thompson. Please stop calling me Mr. From now on, I'd like you to call me by my first name. Can I call you Kelly too? Of course. Please let me call you Steve when it's just the two of us. Ah, gladly. Looking forward to our future together. Yes. I look forward to it too. And so, I started dating the man I loved. 2 years later, Steve finally proposed. Of course, I happily accepted, and that's how we got engaged. I want to marry the person I love and share countless happy moments together. I never doubted that we could be happy together. Since we were going to get married, I had to properly inform my family at least once. I decided to discuss this with Steve. Hey Steve. I've told you about my family, right? So, I'm debating whether to tell them about our wedding date. It's tough. Since we couldn't even greet them for the engagement, I would like them to at least attend the ceremony. That's what I thought. As he said, my family had already once refused to meet. Not just me, but Steve and I. When Steve proposed, he wanted to greet my family. However, both my parents and my sister firmly refused. We're not so idle as to spend time on such things, they dismissed it, and that was that. No matter how bad my memories with my family are, I at least want them to attend my once-in-a-lifetime wedding. I decided to first try calling my sister. As I hesitated to press the call button, staring at the screen, Steve spoke up, Huh? What's up? That icon, is that your sister? Yeah, that's right. Her name is Mandy. Unlike me, she's cute. Oh, right. Mandy. Wow, what a coincidence. Watching Steve get excited on his own, I was puzzled and asked, What do you mean? He explained with a smile. Actually, there's a junior I was close with in college. I've invited him to the wedding, and I just met him recently. And he showed me a picture of his girlfriend. What? Could it be that was Mandy? Yeah. Crazy coincidence, right? But maybe it's a different person. According to the junior, she's a good, family-oriented girl with a great personality. And I think he said she's an only child. It seems Mandy has hidden my existence and posed as an only child. While I was genuinely shocked, it wasn't surprising coming from her. Therefore, I decided to keep the fact that I am Mandy's sister a secret from that junior until the day of the ceremony. Meanwhile, I also had to visit my parents about the wedding. A week later, I was in my hometown for the first time in about 7 years, hurrying to my parents' house with heavy steps. The regret came immediately after I arrived at the house. My sister began insulting me the moment she saw my face, without any sign of surprise. Huh, big sis, what are you doing here? Did you run out of money and come to mooch off mom and dad? That's not it. I came because there's something important. Something important? Like declaring disownment? That would be hilarious. At my sister's words, even our father and mother began to laugh out loud. Over their laughter, I spoke clearly. I'm getting married. The ceremony is on the 30th next month, and I came to inform you about it." With that, the room fell silent. Then my sister burst out laughing. "Big sis getting married?" I really couldn't care less. "Wait a minute, it's a family wedding after all. By the way, the whole family is going to Hawaii that day, so we'll be absent from your wedding." "The whole family? What about me? If I can't attend the ceremony, at least let my fiancé greet you." "What? That's a waste of time, right? Mom and Dad think so too, don't they?" Following my sister's remarks, my father and mother began to laugh as well. "You're ugly and a failure, you know? Really? It's pitiful that someone like you would be anyone's wife." As the three of them laughed loudly, I felt something inside me cool and detach. I hadn't expected much from the beginning, but to be disregarded to this extent. Do they really not care about me at all? Well, fine. If that's how they feel, I won't hold back either. Turning my back on them as they mocked me, I simply said, "Understood," and left my family home. It had been 7 years since I last visited, yet my stay lasted only about 10 minutes. I hadn't anticipated such outright denial of my existence. But this only strengthened my resolve. I would make them regret casting me aside. Afterward, I asked Steve for help and steadily prepared for my revenge. To keep it from my family, I secretly informed my relatives about the wedding date and arranged for them to attend. Thus came the day of the wedding, a day prepared with revenge in mind. As a crowd of guests gathered at the venue, Steve, his parents, and I lined up in the reception hall. The hall began to buzz, and relatives asked, "Where are Mandy and her family?" Answering their questions, I took the microphone and began to speak slowly. "Thank you all for gathering here today for us. As you can see, my family is not present. I would like to discuss the reasons for this." I then confessed openly about my circumstances, how my family treated me over the years, and how they had refused to acknowledge my marriage or attend the ceremony, revealing everything. My family despised and looked down on me, and they didn't show their faces even on a day as special as today. So, I decided to tell all of you who know my family everything about them. My voice shook towards the end. Tears that I had been holding back welled up and ran down my cheeks. Steve placed his hand on my back and gently stroked it. As if a string had snapped, tears streamed down freely. After the reception, relatives apologized for not noticing sooner, and expressed their intention to cut ties with my family, all asserting their support for me. After most had left, Steve, his junior colleague Keith, and I remained. Keith then spoke up softly. "I had no idea that Kelly, Steve's fiancée, was Mandy's sister. I'm sorry, I didn't know anything. No, I'm the one who should apologize for surprising you. This was all to vent my own frustrations. If you still want to maintain a relationship with Mandy, I won't stop you. No. I need to think." Mandy claimed she was an only child and boasted about how much she valued family. Yet this. "I'm sorry for causing you such trouble. Thank you for coming today." Despite Keith's apparent concern about Mandy, there was a refreshed look on his face. "I need to think it over," he had said, but perhaps he had already made up his mind. Later, my married life with Steve began. On a holiday, as we were enjoying a relaxed day together, my phone rang. The caller ID displayed Mandy, and it was Keith making the call. As soon as I answered, my sister began to yell furiously. "Don't mess with me. What did you do to Keith? So, he's told you something, has he? Did you orchestrate this?" We were about to get married. And he said to me, I heard everything from your sister, I want to break up. Her breathing was rough, and she sounded utterly distraught, even through the phone. I struggled to suppress a laugh and slowly responded. Do you know why he would say that? What? So you did investigate my boyfriend? And spread lies about me because you hate me? Who goes that far? That's unbelievable. You also must have said unnecessary things to the relatives. What lies? I only spoke the truth. At the wedding, I simply shared our family's story. At the wedding. Yes. Since our family didn't attend, I explained to the guests why. I told them about how you all treated me, what kind of hurtful things you've said. Heath was very upset, you know? What? Why would you tell such a story? Of course it would make me look bad. That's why I told it. To make you regret how you've treated me. How cruel. I never did anything that bad to you. In her mind, the numerous insults she hurled at me weren't that bad. The fact that I shared these truths with others made me cruel, but excluding me was not? That's absurd. Before I knew it, I raised my voice in anger. Don't mess with me. I never did anything bad? How could you even say that? Do you have any idea how much you've made me suffer? My heart has been broken over and over by you. What, you? After ruining someone's love life, how dare you act so self-righteous? It's all karma. If you hadn't treated me so poorly, I wouldn't have needed to reveal anything at the wedding. And you wouldn't have been dumped by your boyfriend. Your past actions have come back to haunt you. I will never forgive you and your family. Go to hell, all of you. With that, I hung up before she could respond. And continued to ignore her calls, blocking them instead. Since then, it didn't take long for my family to fall into their own hell. Apparently, Mandy had been shouting in the office. Please reconsider. I won't break up, which led to reprimands from superiors. And cold stares from colleagues, eventually driving her to become a recluse. Even my parents faced criticism from relatives for their role in the fiasco. Becoming pariahs themselves. Having been doted on for having a beautiful daughter. They now lived a shadow of their previous lives. Only seen when my father ventured out alone to the store at night. It was all their own doing. They deserved to suffer. As for me, I was happily married to Steve. Since that day, many people have reached out to care for me. And even relatives started contacting me. Expressing my feelings and appealing to others showed that change was possible. Something I had learned firsthand. With this experience, I resolved to live honestly and openly in the future.